Good morning, good morning, good morning. You know what today is Monday Morning Chats with Sack, and Sack is me. I hope that you guys had a great weekend. I had it was a relaxing good weekend, and I definitely enjoyed it. I did yoga again, and it was fun. So I'm trying to make sure that I have this a part of my routine, right? So I do like to work out, but yoga is something different. It allows you to really stretch, and it's good. And so I got a chance to, the way that yoga was set up, it was an invite only, and you were partnered with someone. And so you realize the importance of certain things that you do in life, and how it's okay to need somebody. And during the yoga various poses, we needed someone, and so that was good. So it was a good yoga session. And then I got a chance to meet some new folks, connected with them, and it was great. So I thought about what I wanted to talk about, and as you guys know, I'm reading a book called The Gifts of Imperfection, and I want to talk about two things. One, change is good, right? Change is good. And so in that's the title, Change is Good. And in that, I want to talk about don't go back to old ways. And I'm going to talk about vulnerability. So this is tax season. This is my time to, I guess, somewhat shine. And it's March the 20th. And so it's very busy in this time, considering that we have a little less than a month to make sure people are filing their tax returns on time. And this is a time where I'm getting emails from people that want me to be very quick to forget about my other clients, especially just potential new clients, and for me to prepare their tax return and not worry about anybody else. People that are so delayed getting their tax returns prepared. And I had this potential new client that reached out to me. And I let clients know, hey, I'm busy. About 2 weeks ago, I had a family emergency, so I was not as active. And I told clients, hey, I'm not as active with responding. This is important, and I will get to you. And the one thing that I've learned in business is that my family comes first. And so that is first. And as long as I communicate that with someone and they're not receptive of it, I can't control that. And so I had a potential client, I had to make sure I'm clear, potential client that reached out to me, and I was unable to take this person's return their email during the time I had a family emergency. Let the person's partner know. They're like, okay, thank you so much for letting us know. Sure. The person rescheduled. The person was 15 minutes late on a call, and I'm very professional. If I tell you to call me at 1:00, call me at that time. If you miss your call, then you have to reschedule. That's the same thing that goes in any other profession. If you miss your appointment, you either can wait or you have to reschedule. So this person called me back, emailed me. I emailed this person and said, hey, you missed your call. Can we reschedule? The person's response was very nasty. And when I got the email, I just said, wow, this person is so upset because I asked this person to reschedule. And then I can think about it. They were trying to get their return done by the deadline. They wanted me to move very swift. Not considering that they're pretty much late at this time. And usually most tax professionals will have you file an extension. And so I'm just listening. I'm just reading an email. And I was like, wow, this person is getting very nasty. How do I handle this? I knew what I wanted to say because I don't like disrespect. I knew exactly what I wanted to say, but I didn't. Instead, I responded back to the person and said, I apologize. I was like, thank you for your email, and I wish you much success in finding a new preparer. Have a great weekend. That was the God response to me. That wasn't what I wanted to say. It's not what I wanted to say at all. And it made me realize that this person was trying to go low. And if I tried to go lower, what would I accomplish? Absolutely nothing. And I shared this story with 3 of my good girlfriends. And I said, the thing that I learned from this experience is that When people try to go low, by you going low with them, it does nothing for you. And when someone tries to make you go back to old ways, and they do, they mean that they had power over you. So whenever you get upset, how would you respond? Are you going to respond like your normal self? Or are you going to respond in a different way? So I handle conflict differently. Yeah, do I want to get smart back and clap back? Absolutely. But it does nothing for me. And if I did that, it just shows that all the work I have done up until now, it doesn't even matter. Because I let one person get me out of character. One person get me out of character. And so I want you to ask yourself that whenever you are faced with some type of adversity, and whenever you are faced with someone getting smart or doing something to you that may be triggering for you, how do you respond? Right? How do you respond? And I think the biggest thing that I've learned was walking away from people. And that is hard, right? It's hard because you know what you want to say, but after growth and healing, you realize there's certain things you can't say. There's certain things you can't do. So it's hard to just say no. It's hard to just walk away because an initial response can be something else, right? And so that response that I gave the guy, it was God. It wasn't me. And so I'm here to tell you that if you worked on yourself, you have changed, don't go back because of one person. Don't go back because someone says something that makes you want to go back to old ways. It does nothing for you. It does absolutely nothing for you. To be honest, what confuses people is when you give them a calm response. You don't give them what they're expecting. I'm pretty sure this person was expecting that I was going to respond in a negative way. And I did not give that person that. I gave them something they was not expecting. Happiness. Thank you. Sorry. Take care. That was it. I'm not going to let them get me up here. I'm not going to let them get me up there at all. And at first it was hurtful reading the email. And it was hurtful because I was like, wow, this is what this person think about me. This person can't trust me. This person doesn't even know me. And I realized that I can't control how they feel. If that's how they feel, that's fine. Their partner knows me very well. But I can't control how they feel. And I'm not going to convince them that I'm somebody else. If they feel like they can't trust me, that's fine. But I have a lot of clients that do trust me. I have people in my corner that do trust me and do support me. So if this one person doesn't trust me because I didn't return their phone call and I asked them to reschedule because they called me late, then that's fine. That's something that I can deal with. And that's absolutely okay. I'm fine with that. So don't let people take you back. It's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. And God revealed this song to me, Addictive Love. And that's by BB and CeCe Winans. My aunt used to play it all the time when I was a kid, when she would clean up on Saturday morning. And as a kid, I was like, oh, shucks, she's playing BB and CeCe Winans. And matter of fact, she used to love playing BB and CeCe Winans all the time. Like, all the time. But as I got older and God revealed the song to me again Saturday, I just listened to the lyrics. I read the lyrics. And I was like, wow, God has changed my heart. And I'm following him. And so I can't respond to things that I know that I want to respond to. I can't do it. I can't act in certain ways because I changed from that. And that's okay, right? That's okay. So don't let people take you back. Yeah, do you want to clap back? Do I want to clap back? Yes. There's some people I would love to punch in the throat. There's some people. But It would not get me anywhere. It would not. And so I think twice. When I get some response that I don't like, I pray about it first and say, God, use me. I need you to step in and speak for me. Because if I speak, it may not be good. So God, I need you to step in and I need you to speak for me. And when I look at my response, I'm like, yeah, God, because you know that I couldn't do that. And I ask God to cover me, right? Because although people say things, words do hurt. And I just say, God, I just need you to really cover me. Because I need it. This book, and I was telling my therapist, The Gifts of Imperfection, I really love this book. And this past week I was talking to like various friends and, different life happens. And I always ask myself, this is anybody that says anything about happiness. And I always question if people are doing the things that are making them happy or they're waiting for someone else to make them happy. In other words, their happiness is contingent upon someone else. And the one thing that I've learned is that if your happiness is contingent upon somebody else, then you'll never be happy. You'll never be happy. So this guidepost story that I was reading, it talked about resilience and it talked about letting go of numbing and powerlessness. And so numbing is pretty much where you suppress like any type of feelings that you have. And sometimes you numb it to the extent that it don't exist. The pain is still there, but you don't see it. You don't feel it. You feel the outcome, which is pain. And as a result, you want to deal with the pain. It could be by substance abuse. It could be by binge eating, like something that's not done in moderation. And so this is a quote that I read. She can never go back and make some of the details pretty. All she could do was to move forward and make the whole beautiful. And so the thing about life is that life is going to happen to all of us. We cannot go back to change what happened yesterday. We cannot go back to change what happened to us a year ago. We can't go back and change things that happened to us years ago. We can't do that. But what we can do is figure out what we're going to do today. What we can do is figure out what we're going to do tomorrow. So there's always a future, but the past is another way for you to learn so you can have a better tomorrow, right? And so we talked about the things that we need in our life. And my therapist started to talk about love is blind. And she said, it's funny that when you have like this wall on Love is Blind, people are telling everything about themselves. It's a wall. You can't see the person. And so it's easy to share everything, right? It's easy to share. But when the people come in contact with each other, sometimes it's hard to have these conversations because it's the fear of, will I be judged? The idea of vulnerability, like being vulnerable in person, that could be hard. And she said, it just makes me think about like people in general that's in relationships with people. Like, are they really vulnerable? Are they afraid to express themselves? And if so, what are they numbing? What are they hiding? I shared this with my therapist. I was like, it was a guy that I met. And this person like wanted to take the relationship, like he was moving very, very fast. And I said, before I make this decision, I said, I'm going to pray about this. And I prayed and I said, God, give me discernment. Tell me things that I can't see, right? Tell me things that I can't see. And let me know if this is a good choice. And I also asked myself some other questions. That night, God revealed some stuff to me. And I was like, no, I can't do this. And so I've learned that when you are hiding stuff, you're not allowing yourself to be free. You're not allowing yourself to be vulnerable. And the thing that I shared with my therapist, I was like, I've learned that my vulnerability is not meant for everybody. Vulnerability is equivalent to a story, and everyone doesn't have access to this story. And in order for you to be vulnerable, you have to be willing to share your story with people. And so I shared with her about a relationship that I had. And I was like, this person told me the things that I didn't do. Now, mind, this was in my 20s, right? All the things I didn't do in a relationship. And I was like, okay, I apologize. And, I was the one that after we broke up, I reached out. This was like me being a woman, right? I reached out and I said, hey, can we talk? Can we have a conversation? And I actually went through like a list of things and I apologized. I was like, hey, I apologize for this. And I explained why I did something. And I said, I hope that you're able to forgive me for that. And I just went through the list. And that relationship changed my trajectory, our relationships, and being a woman that's not afraid to apologize because I'm not going to get everything right. And so when I see memes about women not apologize, I'm like, I can't relate to that because I do apologize. And I share with my therapist about the things that my ex was telling me, like the things that I didn't do and things of that sort. And she said, but sometimes we don't get the things that we want because we're not giving it out. And so when you are wanting someone to be vulnerable, right? You want someone to be vulnerable for you, to share your story, to share their story. You have to ask yourself, are you open to share yours? And it's so important, right? And it's these things like I see on, and I hate social media when it comes to like life, because some people thrive off of these memes as to how to live their life. And I just started to think about these things. Like, she was like, do you think you wasn't able to give it, or you didn't give it because you didn't receive it? And I said, wow, that's deep. I said, I didn't give it because I didn't receive it. And you have to ask yourself, well, if you want love, are you able to give it to people? If you want vulnerability, are you able to give it to people? And so when she made this analogy with Love is Blind, when the people there, they are pairing the contestants that they're pairing each other with, there's this wall, right? There's this wall. I haven't seen it in a long time. There's this wall where they're expressing themselves, talking about each other, and talking about their problem, just talking about themselves so the other person get a chance to know who they are. But they don't see them, right? They don't see them until, I guess, they're paired up on a date to see if they're meant to be with each other. And it's those times where they allow themselves to be vulnerable, right? Because they were able to give something and open to receive it. And so I hear people saying, hey, if this person doesn't open up, I'm not opening up either. And so the one thing that I've learned, sometimes you have to be fearful to say, you know what? If I want vulnerability, I want to give it out, right? I want to give it to the person that deserves it and create the space so they know that they're able to give it back. So I'm going to share this quote, and I think this will help. Joy is as thorny and sharp as any of the dark emotions. To love someone fiercely, to believe in something with your whole heart, to celebrate a fleeting moment in life and time, to fully engage in a life that doesn't come with guarantees, these risks that involve vulnerability and often pain. And so I realized that sometimes with vulnerability, the reason why people may not tap into it, because it's this idea that pain will come with it. And I told my therapist, I said, it's funny, like when you look at different stories, and especially if it's love stories, that it's like always like this happy ending and sometimes a happy beginning. It's like, oh, wow, you desire that. You desire like maybe the Love and Basketball love story, or you desire whatever story that you like that's affiliated with love. Maybe you like how their story came about. But I told my therapist, I was like, what's funny is that these stories don't tell you the rough patches in a relationship, right? Yeah, someone may go away and then they come back together, but that's not really a bad thing. But they don't talk to you about the rough patches. So they make it seem like love is just super easy. There's There's no work involved with these type of relationships. It's just like, hey, it's just going to happen. And you hear about the stories like, hey, I love you forever. But it's deeper than that. The one thing I've read something, and I'm sure that I'm misquoting this, but sometimes to love someone is also allowing that person to hurt you. Maybe it's intentionally or unintentionally. And I didn't get that. I was like, if someone loves you, why would they hurt you? And I realized that each person is different. They have their own way of thinking. They have their own way of processing things. They have their own way of managing their emotions. They have different upbringings. And so something that may bother you may not bother that person until you actually have a conversation with them. And so you may love someone, they may hurt you unintentionally, and they may not know that it hurt you. And I think it's a conversation. But I think people are afraid to be vulnerable because it's the idea of, I'm going to get hurt. But this is a risk that you take to be vulnerable. And so I challenge you to take that risk and to be open and to be free. I remember someone saying like, hey, you'll never know everything about me. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Obviously it didn't work. But being vulnerable, I told my therapist, I was like, I've learned that being vulnerable allows me to be free. And by being free, I feel like all the things that I want, they're coming my way. I'm not afraid to share a painful experience with somebody. My story may heal somebody. I'm not afraid of that. Even though I'm a positive person, sometimes I struggle with dealing with negative emotions. Like if I'm sad, like why am I sad? Like I shouldn't be this way. I'm always happy. And then I realize that I'm human. So I challenge you to take the risk. That's what life is all about. To really take the risk and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Like I said before, everyone's not entitled to our story. But the people that are, don't be afraid to share it. Lastly, I feel like there's not a right time for everything, but there's a time and place for everything. And so I've learned that when it's time for me to share certain things, I will share it. I just got to pray to God about when is it the time should I express this. And maybe that's for you. Maybe you want to share something with someone, but you are pretty apprehensive about it. And I would just say, think about it first, right? It's okay to be nervous and it's okay to not be certain. But don't do that to everyone, right? Everyone deserves something if they're entitled to it, right? The people that you love, the people that you want to be close to, they deserve your vulnerability. I think vulnerability it could be a beautiful story. Your story is your story. No one can tell your story but you. So I say all that to say that change is good, and change one, don't let someone take you back to your old ways. You come so far, and to allow one person to make you go back, that means they had power over you. Once I understood the importance of vulnerability, it brings me joy, honestly. And it makes me feel liberated. But lastly, the one thing I will say is that knowing what you need to, right? When you're vulnerable, you're sharing your stories. And I hope during the time that you're sharing your stories that you're not afraid to say what you need, right? What is it that you need? What is important for you? This was the most powerful thing I told my therapist. I was like, I never understood why people would get back with exes and stuff, right? And I realized that sometimes people can change, right? People can change. But I told her, I said, there's one ex I can never go back to. Like, never. This person could be a millionaire and I would still say no. And I realized that this person can never, ever, ever give me what I need. It's not this big thing, but this person can never give me what I need. And so when you think about vulnerability and who you're sharing your story to, and maybe you're expressing what you need, can people around you, can they give you what you need? Friendships. You may have friendships and you may say, hey, this is what I need from a friend. And this person can't give you that. You got to ask yourself, is that really your friend? So what is it that you need? What is it? I'll share another time. But that's all that I have. I hope that these Monday morning chats, I hope they inspire you to be yourself, to be comfortable with yourself, and know that we're all in a work in progress. I hope that you are encouraged to share your story because someone needs to hear it. I hope that you don't forget that you are amazing and you are great. So special shout out to the men because it is Monday. I hope and pray that people around you create safe spaces for you where you're able to be vulnerable and you're able to share your story without feeling any guilt or any shame. I hope that people tell you that you're doing great. And what I have found being in conversation with Black men is that they don't get as many affirmations that I thought. Just a text message saying, hey, I'm proud of you. Hey, I appreciate you. Hey, you're doing great. And what I have found from being in conversation with Black men that I know is that they don't get that often. And so I do pray that you do get that because you deserve it. And even though you may not expect someone to be a cheerleader, sometimes it feels good to know that you're being seen for the work that you're doing. And I just want you to know that you're amazing. And please just never forget that. And that just goes to everyone else. Just know that you are amazing. You are great. You are phenomenal. And you're just awesome. You're just awesome. I just hope that you have a great Monday. I hope that you just have a great week. Just live life on purpose. You are a work in progress. But just know that the work that you see, meaning you, the art piece that you see, you're still beautiful. That's all I have, guys. I hope that you're able to share my videos on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Sakina Tillman Esquire. I hope that these stories can really help someone else like really live and to really be open, because when you're open and become free, the sky is the limit and there's so much that will come to you when you allow it to. So I just hope that it helps. That's all I have. And take care, guys. Bye.